tuning in to the online broadcast network, AFTERBUZZ TV. Over 20 million weekly downloads in over 150 countries, and your number one source for after-show entertainment. AFTERBUZZ TV, the destination for TV superfans. Producing after shows for over 300 of your favorite TV shows, interviewing celebrities and showrunners, and bringing you behind-the-scenes exclusives. All thanks to E! Entertainment's Maria Menounos, producer Kevin Undergaro, and internet leader Akamai. Now, let the buzz begin!
What up, everybody?
Let's get it.
So we actually got the intro music coming in.
I know. I like it.
No Gaga this week.
No. We didn't get a music reference this week. I'm slightly bummed about it. But hey guys, what's up? And this is AFTERBUZZ TV, iZombie. This is episode 2, Brother, Can You Spare a Brain? We are live right now on YouTube. You can also catch us on AfterBuzzTV.com/iZombie. You can tweet at us during the show using the hashtag ABTV iZombie. You can also download us on iTunes and SoundCloud. Rate us, comment, let us know how we're doing, since we're starting off this show. We're big fans of it. Hopefully you are. I mean, this week I am even more into it.
Oh, yeah.
So many things that I feel like we talked about last week actually got slightly answered. Like, we got things from Major. I found out about, the sex raging stuff, which we'll all get to.
Right. We were all curious about that.
Yeah, so we will get to all of those things. But I think actually this week, instead of ending with the whole case, we should lead with it because we were introduced to so many other things. We can kind of save that for the end. But I like to call this case the Sugar Plower case. Or the Honey Goddess one, but I prefer the Sugar Plower.
I'll go with Honey Goddess.
I like Honey Goddess.
You like Honey Goddess?
Goddess just seems like royalty, like rich and.
It makes me think of Honey Badger.
I think of me.
And that's really what I think of. I prefer the Sugar Plow.
I like how they give us options.
Yeah,
like,
right?
Choose your own case name.
Choose which one.
Pick your team.
Hilarious. Keeping the comedy alive. I dig it. First of all, okay, so the intro of the show starts out, obviously, with kicking it off with the case, which I don't know about you guys, but I was stoked the minute it started, and Judy Reyes, who was playing Lola, to see her, because I haven't seen her in anything since Scrubs.
I'm glad you said her name, because I'm like, who is she? Like, I grew up watching her, and then there.
Girl,
bingo.
I did the same thing. I was like, I know her, I like her. IMDb.
She's like the TV mom.
Yeah, Scrubs. Love her. It was cool to see her, especially on, like, a CW show. I feel like this is a very big change of pace for her, but it was cool
like,
to see her.
Who is this lady? I know her. I felt like I knew her. I've been watching her all my life, so yeah.
Yeah, it was awesome to see her. Did you all watch?
For sure, yeah, and like opening scene too. It's
Yeah,
like,
right.
Nice.
Awesome. They kicked
Familiar
it
face.
right away off with the case. So we're introduced, obviously, at the very beginning to Lola and Artie Fizz, who they come in and they find out that Lola's husband has been murdered with a paintbrush.
Yes, via death by paintbrush to the eye.
Yeah, maybe that's what we should have called this case, but whatever.
Right.
I was distracted by Artie's hair the whole
that
episode.
Cloth,
Oh
like
my God, it looked
flowing.
great, even in danger.
That it did, and I kept thinking almost that he looked like Javier when they kept doing flashes.
I was confused. I'm not even gonna lie. I'm like, wait, who? Okay, wait. This is Artie. This is Javier. I had to kind of catch up towards the end.
Dude, there was so much happening.
Yeah, that's one thing that I think we all notice on this second episode is that there's like so many people going on. So many people are introduced for a second or two, and you're like trying to keep up with the names and the the action. It's very fast paced.
If it wasn't for IMDb, I would have got nobody's names.
If it wasn't for you guys, I would have.
Especially with
What is
and then as soon
going
as they
on?
said open relationship, I'm like, there's going to be like 10 names.
Yeah,
Yeah.
right? And then, which we'll obviously get to, I'm jumping ahead of myself, but Tasha and Tito's, we had T names again. Does
We
somebody
did.
like T names? Yeah?
But that
They're
Tito,
obsessed.
oh, he was handsome.
I know, we know how you felt. We're gonna get there.
Okay.
We're getting way ahead of ourselves. Okay, so we're introduced to this whole case situation, and then we jump to the morgue, which my first question is, when they're at the scene of the crime, are morgue workers allowed to be at the scene of a crime?
Like all of a sudden they're given responsibility.
Yes.
Like, oh, they're the top morgue people in the city of Seattle.
Yes.
What is happening?
For sure. And like Robbie pulls the paintbrush like from the body's skull.
Right? Can
I was
do that?
I know, and I was expecting Liv to just like slurp it off.
Yeah, right. To start licking
Yeah.
it.
Like in the moment.
Oh my god, gross. It was so nasty. But then
Yeah.
we see her make what? Was that like?
Hot Pocket.
Yeah.
That's what I called it, a hot pocket.
She
the
did later
samosa,
call it a
you know?
hot pocket.
Yeah.
She did. But at first I was like, is that an empanada? That's what she
Right.
just make right there.
A little brain empanada.
Which would have made sense because she was getting real Spanish right afterwards. And I
And
just
she
like
didn't
spit all
have
over
any
myself.
shame in her game. She just like, let me just go ahead and scrape this on off. Not gonna let
Yep.
this go to waste. And like,
That's right.
Oh, gross. It almost
Cook
looks
that
like
on up.
Play-Doh. The brains, when she's like scraping it off, it looks like Play-Doh.
Well, they've been
I'm like, what
exposed
the-
for quite some time.
Yeah, true.
Yeah.
True statement. It got all doughy
Yeah.
there. Oh, gross.
Doughy.
Oh, gross. So then she gets her first vision after eating this. I don't know if it's right after, but regardless, she gets her first vision, and we see that Javier had mistresses, and that's when we're introduced to the honey flower and.
That's when she was reading the
Honey
magazine.
Oh yes,
Yeah,
it's
like
when
the
she's
5
it
sex
triggered
tips.
it.
Yeah.
she
Absolutely.
was feeling that.
And I just gave them
Right. She got her first spicy vision.
She did.
She
That's
was
what we'll call it.
feeling
The
that.
spicy vision.
Oh my gosh, which I loved that. Watching her like turn so
And reenacting it, I'm like, yes. Get hot and bothered.
which she
Yeah.
was right after the vision. She was loving it. Going back
Yeah.
and talking about her golden skin.
Right.
It's just proving that Javier was a total. He just slept
Magnetic.
around.
Oh.
He was attracted to anything that moved. So
Absolutely.
she just took all that on. So.
Yeah.
Oh, which was so super cool.
Yeah.
So then we start going into Babs, as we like to call him, start, actually doing the casework, interviewing, interrogating Artie Fiss, and we find out that but that Javier, they just had like an open relationship that Lola seems to be supportive and okay with, is what she keeps showing. And then we get to see Liv full on, like, hitting her interested in, what is her name? Tasha?
Tasha.
Yeah.
Tasha
Yes.
is his honey goddess. We get to see her just, like, loving, giving her the eyes. I wish I remember what color she called it, but it was like an intricate...
Cerulean or something.
Is that what it was?
I
Something
think that's
like
what
that.
it was.
Something
Yeah.
intense. And I felt like there was no reason for him to be asking that question, that I was like, hey, what's going on with you?
Oh, maybe.
No?
I just thought he was just confused because it's like.
Yeah,
connecting
the
the
dots a little bit. I feel like he may honestly find out before and not tell her for a while that he knows. Mm-hmm. And just kind of keep it like...
Could be. It would be like a sly kind of
then in the
detective
back-
move on his
Interesting
part.
thing.
Job
Yeah.
saving him.
Yeah.
He had no career until she saved it, so it'd be smart
Right.
for him not to tell anybody.
And
So-
that's like his ally.
True.
She's basically the brains behind his whole whatever he's trying to do. So for him to mess
Absolutely.
that up, it's kind of like, I'm back at square one. I'm the underdog again.
Right.
So
Right.
I wouldn't say nothing either.
And I need to have a moment of him, like, deeming her, like, you are now my assistant. If she's going to be, like, going to these cases and Robbie's going to these cases.
Yeah.
They should get paid. Come on, accordingly. I'm
See some
angry about that.
accolades, badge of honor,
We
something.
need more acknowledgement here.
They need to bank on that, absolutely. Okay, so I guess I don't know if this is really jumping ahead, but I feel like we had a moment where we kind of broke away from the case and dealt with some other stuff, which we'll get to. So I feel like the next time we really are talking about the case is when she has her next vision of the raging ex-boyfriend, which is Tito, Tasho's ex, which they had hinted beforehand, or already had hinted to, that he should probably interview her exes or his mistresses' exes, because they're all raging and crazy. But I shouldn't say that, because I liked Tito and he was attractive, but I just don't know if I understand so much what his character had to do with the case, or what he was really playing into.
They were trying
that
to they were trying to distract the audience
Yeah.
from saying, "Oh, he's he's involved in this whole love triangle. He dated Tasha. Now he's jealous of Javier and her, and so
Right.
maybe he killed him." But it was just the
Right.
obvious pick from the beginning.
One of the many characters they pepper in to make you
Right? Just
throw you off.
A lot of peppering.
My brain didn't get thrown off, but I was just I was just attracted to him. I will say that. Like, I know his cheekbones. His bone structure was amazing, but other than that, it was just like, why is he here? Like those, just too many characters for no reason. I was already thrown off with Javier and Artie alone, so it was like to throw him into the mix. I'm kind of like, what is he here for?
Why?
Tito just made me want Tito's vodka, and that's all he served for me. And no, I'm just kidding.
He was
kind of a little bit inappropriate. Sorry, inappropriate. Okay, so, let me get ahead here. Oh, Javier was sleeping with Artie's daughter. We find out that when that is something that Tito did serve in his interrogation. He did tell Babs that that Javier was sleeping with Artie's daughter, which we later find out he had impregnated, kind of rushing us through to the end, and I'm still jumping ahead. But then, that's the one thing I took away from that. And then we go to the art show, which I kind of liked. I thought that was a good way to have all of the characters that they had brought in for this case in one scene and not seem overwhelming.
Right. Good setting. Yeah.
Yeah, and I loved watching Ravi act out what he thought happened.
See, everyone was in such a little bit too good of a mood. Like, the guy just got killed with his own tools.
Right.
In that same apartment days before, or maybe a week.
That is very
And then
true.
everyone's just, let's sell his paintings and have some champagne.
Well, that was the whole point of them basically killing him.
Cashing in.
Yeah, so to them, I guess it wasn't a
some
big
money.
deal. Like, somebody was dead in here a couple days ago, and now we're throwing a party. But we find out is that Lola wanted to make money, and that she was, I guess, mad about him impregnating that woman.
That's what she said at the end.
Yeah. So I don't know if it was which was more her motive. I guess both. But I mean, now she's not going to get any of that money because she's going to be in jail. So it sucks for you, girl. It didn't work out.
Plan foiled.
Yeah, absolutely. So I thought that was crazy. But yeah, that was basically like a wrap up of the case. Anything you all want to add to that case?
Yeah, well.
You're like, yes, so much.
Yes.
We just plowed right through that.
Well,
See, I brought it back.
Loud.
and maybe not sugar plowed.
Yes, yeah, I brought it back in.
Like
Word
it.
of the day.
Yeah, I mean, maybe just kind of like in addition to the case was the whole introduction of Blaine.
Perfect, because that is what we were going to talk about next.
I love it. See, I
Look
knew
at
it was
her,
coming. Knew
helping
it was
a
coming.
Sister Al right there. Right, so they put those two together, kind of wove them together by Liv and Ravi. Well, I guess Ravi bringing in Jimmy to help discover or draw the picture.
sketch artist.
Yes, which Liv has now got this characteristic of being able to draw. So he tests out if Liv is carrying that characteristic by bringing in Jimmy to see if she will take that notepad and basically draw out the sketch. And we find out she does, and da-da-da. And we are finally introduced to David Anders' character, who I was stoked to see and watch. And he looks dreamy as a white little zombie man.
Yes, and I was actually super surprised at how much we learned about him this episode.
I know.
I was almost just ready for like a brief introduction or some, a quick scene or something and have them drag it out maybe over the next few episodes. I feel like I learned so much about him on this one, and I loved it.
I agree.
Yeah.
Well, he's an integral part of the show. I feel
Right.
like he's...
I see him being a recurring character. That's what
Oh,
I see
yeah.
for him now after watching it. But I will say, he is the guy who I'm not supposed to like him, but I like his character for some reason. I know I'm not supposed to like him, and I can see straight through the BS that he's pulling. He's just basically exploiting her, and now he's trying to make money or try to make some type of profit off of the brains he's getting from Liv. But I just like his character for some reason.
do
He just
too.
Totally agree.
And then for a minute, I'm like, oh my God, they're going to be together, two zombies.
I
She
told
met her
you.
match, and I'm like, oh, he just had to mess it up for
See that happening? Really? Is that
See
gonna
my
happen?
Oh my God, that is going to happen.
Well,
Are
she's
you
getting mad
kidding
right now.
me?
She's angry. I mean, if I turn into a zombie, I would do exactly what he's doing, just blackmailing people for brains.
exactly what he's
Oh,
doing.
And he doesn't
good
have
to
to
know.
work or do anything. It's just, oh, wow.
Good to know, Jared.
Well, I learned everything
Watch
I know
out for
from
this guy
CW.
when the apocalypse comes.
Yeah, right?
Well, you have to, right? You can't hold a regular job.
Right.
I guess you can if
Gotta
you
do
work
what
in
you
a
gotta
morgue,
do.
but We're not
Yeah.
all lucky enough to work in a morgue.
Right.
So he's going to blackmail people with brains.
Yeah.
Why not?
Drug dealer, always a drug dealer.
Right? He knows the trade well.
Yeah, but I agree with you. I liked him so much. But granted, I always like the bad boy character on the show. I'm like, that's who, you know what I mean? That's kind of who they want you to like.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But I was actually surprised at how much I wasn't working to like him. I still felt like there were so many good qualities about his character, and maybe that was, him actually being deceiving, and that's what they were trying to do. But when he's first introduced in the morgue, I felt like he was being very genuine in talking about how upset and how hard it's been for him to be turned into a
Right.
zombie.
I don't believe it.
You didn't buy it?
No, because I kind of see that he was a jerk before he turned into a zombie. He was dealing drugs, and then also
Right.
he was a total jerk hitting on her on the boat, like just a complete slime ball.
Yeah.
And now he's just trying to say, oh, I'm apologetic, blah, blah, blah. I really think he's just trying to use her now for the brains. He's getting rid of all of his druggy friends, and now he's becoming a brain dealer. But,
Oh my God, I love
think
that.
their relationship's gonna just go up and down. One episode they're gonna get along and solve a crime together, and then the next episode he's gonna, make her mad about something else. So it's gonna be a love-hate relationship throughout the rest of the
Until
season.
they bang it out.
You never know, because he might end up being like her saving grace at one point, which could possibly happen. But he just
and speaking of
Banging it out.
he introduced that into this episode, which we were curious about from last week.
If he would rage.
Yes.
And he did.
Yes, and like how exactly it goes down and is transmitted apparently. I mean,
Like a
right?
sexually
The lady?
transmitted disease.
Yeah.
We talk about this so much,
Yes.
you guys.
It's one big PSA.
Totally.
show.
Yeah. But it totally was making me think like, okay, was it sexually transmitted or did he have to like scratch her or bite her or do something like
That's what I
during
wondered.
it? I need more details.
I need more details too, because we find out, from the scratch with Liv that like it can be transmitted that way. But I still have questions about that, and maybe I missed something. But how? I mean, was he already turned into a zombie when he scratched her? Like what? I don't know if I missed something. So you guys tell me, or you guys tell me. All they said was.
I mean,
he wasn't a zombie at first, I don't think, on the boat. I think that he was just turned up and, like everybody else.
Right.
And then it was like after the fact is when he was like all zombified, because even the guys, the other drug dealers he was in the car with, kind of said something about that too. Basically, like after he became this whole other person, they don't really even know him anymore. So I think it was after the fact that he became a zombie as well.
They haven't shown her getting scratched yet either.
Right.
So it happened.
No.
So they're just jumping off the boat. He probably went in after her because he was bit.
They could have
before
got
she-
him.
Right. And
the first scene we see her is with the scratch, but we don't know how it happened.
And like they still, I feel like they slightly brought up the whole drug thing when he was in the car with the drug dealers, and they even said, whatever drugs we gave you, they were apparently cut with something lethal. And so I feel like that was hinting towards it having to do something with the zombie thing. But Liv didn't take that drug, and we don't know yet if he did. Did he say whether he took the drug? Because
I don't think we know 100%.
I think he was on it.
But
he was
did.
already saying
it was
this
implied. Yeah.
I mean, they were just getting high off his own supply.
If he was, then I feel like it would make sense that if he did scratch her, that's the way it was transmitted, like a disease. I'm sorry, I'm on a roll. But I feel like that would make sense because then it would somehow actually be passed on. But if he didn't take the drug, I'm so at a loss for how it was.
This is 2 episodes. They're gonna.
I know,
explain
we're
more.
getting.
Just like the sexual,
want it now!
just like the way you guys are saying, like how you can turn on. Well, there's 3 names for it now: raging out zombie mode or full on zombie mode. But it's not. I think it's just emotional. In the first episode, she was fighting this killer, and it turned on. So then, if you're in like a sexual situation, it'll come on too. So it's any kind of heavy emotional, scene.
It just triggers it.
Yeah.
Because he just went.
But I'm wondering, since or if it is, with the whole drug thing, I would imagine somebody tested that drug then prior to it going out or being distributed. Like
You'd
somewhere,
hope so.
yeah, somewhere along the lines, I'm like, somebody had to have tested that. And if that is the reason that people are becoming zombies, then there have to be more.
But didn't one of the guys, I guess they're drug dealers, the guys he was in the car with, didn't he say that they thought it was him who did something with the batch that he was selling or something like that at the party?
Yeah.
So maybe, what if he planned that whole thing because now all of a sudden he meets up with Liv. Liv is working in the morgue. He's getting brains off of her, and now he has to supply the brains to the people he's infecting with it, which would be the lady. What if he goes around infecting people, and now it's like, I have to.
Oh my God.
Just instant business,
This
right?
is like blowing my mind though.
Like, so he created it just to create this whole
He's thinking
business
like
from
business.
yeah.
Right, a whole
That's what I'm
infrastructure.
thinking.
Yeah.
Okay, but then he would have to
Very
be like a
interesting.
mad scientist. I'm like, how do you know
Maybe
how to
he is.
create a
But
zombie?
he also said, though, they messed up underestimating the underdog before he killed the guys.
Which somebody tell me what they think he meant by that. What do you all think he meant by that? Because I was like, did I miss something?
I guess he was just the pawn in this whole drug dealing thing he was doing for years. He was just the low end of the totem pole kid and was trying to work his way up, and they probably all treated him like trash.
So he was really just smirking because he knew he was about
Yeah.
to eat their brains.
Right, and now was his moment, to one up them all and really
Eat them.
prove it. Right, eat them.
So he's playing
If you're gonna
smart.
one up someone,
He's playing smart.
eat them.
True. Now we know where you stand. Okay, all right.
We know.
All right.
We know now.
He is. I really like him. I think he's almost like a Damon-esque, if you guys watch Vampire Diaries, like a Damon-esque kind of character, passing around his like bourbon with the lady, and like I don't know, I really dig his character a lot.
Yeah, I really do too. I was really pleased with how they introed him and everything.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And I liked the whole bringing him back to his drug dealing situation.
Nature.
Yeah, and Liv seeing it creates that tension between them that will later turn to sexual tension. And
she's
listen, I'm all about it, you guys. Let's be
it.
honest. We know every show we're trying to ship somebody, and I'm just trying to set it up. You know what
I'm with you. I see it. I see that vision.
you.
I see that path.
I don't see Babs and Liv anymore. I was gonna say that too. Like, yeah, you guys are right. I don't see it. I don't. I was rooting for them, but it's like, nah.
Well, and I like
At least at this point.
Yeah, for right now.
right
I'm
now.
not seeing it, so I'm just gonna put that on the back burner.
And I actually thought it was cool through his character that we got to see like not a big, but like a zombie attack, tear apart, blood everywhere kind of thing. I know that's kind of like morbid and whatever, but I thought it was cool. I thought it was actually a cool scene and like a cool shot, that red car and the blood like splattering all over it. So I think it's cool to have somebody juxtaposing Liv and being like beast mode and okay to embrace that part. I don't know if I'm happy with him embracing it, but like I like his like deviant, let's make people zombies kind of
Savage.
whatever, like breeding his own people.
I dig it. I mean,
rolling it.
And we've come to know all of the kind of blood and guts from all the zombie stuff that's everywhere. I mean, if you
Right.
watch Walking Dead or any of these other ones, I mean, it's just like
Yeah.
blood and guts every moment. So it's like you almost are missing that if they don't have it in the show.
Exactly.
Because, I mean, it is zombies.
And they're doing
so
it
you-
with like a fun, goofy
It's not too
take on
much.
it.
It's not like an
No.
overload of
Yeah.
it. They just give us a
Gotta
little
have
taste,
some.
and that's enough. You're like,
Yeah.
I'm good with that.
Absolutely.
I can't do all the blood and stuff.
I dig it so much.
Yeah, no, it's great.
So much. I feel like that's kind of the end with well, not the end with Blaine, but the end of talking about him, even though I could go on forever because he looks so attractive.
What
I'm
about
sorry.
the visions? Like, is she still gonna have visions of what he does?
I
Because are
have-
you always gonna be connected to your bite? Like, that's almost vampire-esque. That's always, and they're kind of
You are
mixing the
so
two.
right.
They really
So
are.
now I think they're gonna see visions of each other's activities or who they kill.
You
or who
bring
they
up
eat.
a good question.
Oh, okay. What's that?
Because I actually wondered that too when he was first introduced and she had told him how she had these visions of him, and he was more so concerned that there was nobody else like him and never said that he had visions of her.
It's just it only works the bite you see. Like, so if she kills somebody, which she hasn't,
No.
then they would see her.
But I guess we will find out with that woman that he has turned into a zombie as well if
Giving the
she starts
brains
having
too.
visions of him.
'Cause I was just about to ask that too. Like,
Yeah.
like him, will he get the visions now too because he's eating the brains off of the people who've died in the morgue, or how will that transpire, or will he use that
Yeah.
against them?
And I wonder, guys, I love you guys.
That just came to me.
Yeah, and it was deep, but so true.
And I wondered that as well because Liv thus far has only eaten the brains of people who are already dead. So she's getting visions of them when they're alive. He has eaten brains of people who are, as far as I know, currently living, aside from if he is grave robbing, but he has... do we believe that he's grave robbing, or do we think that he may just be eating people's brains?
That I don't know.
I think he's doing a little bit of both.
Yeah. But if he is just eating people who are alive, does he get visions from them? You know what I mean? Does he carry around those characteristics? That was never really addressed. He didn't
Yeah,
talk
and like
about...
apparently the visions are happening whether you eat the brains or whether or not you just simply turn someone zombie.
Yeah.
It's happening both ways.
There's like
right?
two different levels of
Yeah.
visions as far as zombies go.
Yeah, that's right.
Well, she's got to be careful not to give away too many brains to him, or I think she's going to get a little too, what's the word I'm looking for? Just a little too helpful in his situation, a little too generous, and then she's going to run out of brains. She go, I need more information on this case, and now I run out of brains.
Okay, this is going to sound really, really awful, me saying this, but I think it would actually be like a really funny scene, and I hope that we get to it, but it's going to sound awful. Like, wouldn't it be funny, though, if at one point they eat the brains of, like, a child mentality kind of person, and could you imagine them two eating but can you imagine them two eating the same brains and both like almost like geeking out in a high way, like, you know what I mean? Them being paired up and eating the same brains, they're going to start carrying the same characteristics, and I think that could be really a fun, cool I don't know.
I think that's to come. Right, and maybe not even like specifically that way, but I mean, I do think that it's inevitable. They're eating the same brains from the same morgue, the same path. It's like something like that is bound to happen. Like, mark our words.
I don't see them being really allies when coming to that. I think I see them being put up against each other. Like, I just see him using that to his advantage to have one up on her. Right. I don't see them teaming together just yet when it comes to that, because he's just thinking strategically.
Right, that's true. And I still want to know, which I guess we'll find out, in more episodes to come as well, how long these characteristics last. Like, we had mentioned that last week, and we still didn't get really an answer. She obviously didn't still have the characteristics that she had last week from the Russians, but but I want to know how long these last. Like, what is...
Maybe they cancel as soon as new brains are eaten.
That's what I'm thinking.
Okay. And, like, the new characteristics take over?
Yeah. As soon as a new brain is... It's a new thought. Thought. It's got to be frustrating, because the first episode, she... was a klepto. There was really no redeeming quality, and now all of a sudden she's an artist. Right. So it's got to really suck to lose a really good quality.
Yeah.
And then, even though the guy was, a womanizer, and so that was the bad part, because we'll get to that in a minute. But it's got to really stink to be like, I'm an artist now, and then you eat someone's brain that was just an idiot, and then you're like, I can't draw anymore. That's great, thanks.
Well, I was thinking that too, when she was like painting and hanging up her art, and she was talking about how a part of her is dead, but a new one kind of gets to live, and different things, that characteristics she didn't have when she was alive all of a sudden are now coming to life, and she can now paint and make this beautiful art, which I think is interesting. And and this actually leads us into Major, and seeing somebody who was so close and loved her prior for all these different attributes that she had, and now adjusting or setting her straight with these new ones that she is obtaining through everybody's brain functions, characteristics, whatever you want to call it.
Do you think she's keeping like little bits? Like, because she'll always have that in her?
I think that would be cool. I think that'd totally be cool. But I'm more so saying and excited to see her and Major's relationship continue, and him continuously watching her embody these different people without understanding what's happening. Because right now she's an artist, and he was calling her out on her, new hobbies and her love for the music that she was listening to, which she never liked before. And then maybe next week it'll be something completely different, and he'll be like, wait, what? I used to know this person, and then last week you were this person, and then now you're this person. I think it's really cool to watch somebody so close to her, who loves her, already be calling her out, and that they've introduced that already.
I just see the evolution of her, because if we notice from the pilot episode, she just seemed like very down and just very not into who she was. But now I kind of see her embracing it a little bit more, just her whole attitude, that whole aspect. And then sometimes you kind of grow apart from people, anything in life, when you become someone else. And I just feel like I see them growing apart. And I'm not even going to lie, because I was so against her and Major, but it kind of like, her coming on to him, I was kind of like, well, maybe it can work. But no, I don't see it working. I don't think he can really get with who she is now.
Absolutely.
And he gave back the juicer already, so I think it's
it's definitely over.
Yeah.
Juicer's gone. That's it. Last straw.
That is serious. Giving back the juicer.
I did, though, really like him in this episode, and I felt for him very much. And also respected him very much for turning her away.
Right.
I'm done with I'm done.
You're ready to...
Because he's still in the whole family. He'll show up to interventions and show up to functions. Just get out of there. Like, she's completely changed. Enough. Stop moping around and being Major.
That is true.
Major's lame.
A major bummer.
Get out of my place.
But I felt for him, though. I really did.
And you really do see how much he cared about her. And it obviously was a devastating situation. I mean, you went from being engaged to this person to sending him to the party.
Why didn't he go with her?
Right. I know that's been something that I've been thinking of this whole entire time.
A bunch of single dudes on a boat.
Yeah.
What does that mean?
Yeah.
What? Do you all think he was up to something?
No, he's not that smart.
Yeah, I don't think he is.
I don't think he is either. I don't think he's
What's he do? He's got a
either.
nice apartment, though. I want to know what he does.
Right?
Sorry.
We still need to learn more about Major. I feel like we got more from him this episode, but still not a ton.
Right, and I think we still will. I don't think he's going anywhere, as tired as we may be of him already. I don't think he's going anywhere. We're going to see him.
Maybe he'll ever turn. Maybe he'll turn at some point.
Well, I wondered that too. When she was coming on to him, like, whoa, guys, this is way too quick for him to already be turned into a zombie.
Right.
Like, I was afraid that was going to happen. So.
Or do you think it automatically happens I mean, you can't just have sex.
idea.
You can't just have sex without just going in zombie mode at all?
No, I don't.
I know. I feel like that's the question that we need to have answered, because that's what I'm thinking with Blaine's whole character and the lady that he
We all
picked
just
up at the
wanna
bar and
see sex
everything.
scenes now.
I was gonna say,
Basically,
We just want to see
right.
some sex.
We're an awful, gross panel who are just sex on the
50
brain
Shades
the
of
whole
Psychotic, I
time.
think, or something like that.
50 Shades of Psychotic. That was good.
Psychic, like that.
Psychic?
50 Shades of Psychic. That's what he called it.
I thought you said 50
Psychotic.
Shades of Psycho. I was like, that's funny.
That could work too.
That could totally
It
work.
really could.
Goes both ways. 50 Shades of Zombie. But yeah, no, going back to Major, I don't know, that's kind of where they left us off in this episode, and I feel like by doing what they did and introducing Blaine and this relationship with Major in the same, evening, which is still the beginning, but I don't know, I think they're setting up for us to kind of, feel for Major, but separate away from that as that being a possible love interest for her. I don't know what they'll do with his character then, if he will just become like a friend or somebody to constantly call her out. Like, I'm not too sure. I don't know what you guys think about that.
And in both episodes too, they've ended it in a very similar way. Like she reaches out to Major, something happens, and then she's leaving away from her attempt. And in this particular episode, it ended with straight up rejection. She went and tried to reach out and then was turned away. So episode 1 and episode 2 have this similar kind of ending. So that's
true.
interesting too.
And what wedding gift is he going to give away in the 3rd episode?
Right,
I don't know. That's
like the grab bag.
Yeah, like that'll be his only thing in the next episode.
Right.
Like, I have a toaster.
I'll drop it off this week.
Thanks, Major.
I would
Go
actually
back to
love
playing
that.
video games with your girlfriends.
That'd be hilarious.
Yeah.
Your thoughts? Do you have any thoughts on it, Aja?
I just don't see her and Major. I know he's not going anywhere. I know that, but I just don't see them working out. I just feel like the new person and she's going to notice it too. The person that she's becoming, they're not growing together. They're kind of growing apart.
Right.
And I think she loves him for the time that he was there, but it's kind of like you have to go your separate ways.
Right.
But I think he is going to get a girlfriend later on, and that we're going to see some type of thing with that. She's a little jealousy.
Well,
But I
That
think
could be, yeah.
eventually.
I fear it may end up being Peyton. But
Nice.
I do actually. I fear it may end up being Peyton, which I'm actually okay with. But that's
That's
I
what you want to see. All right.
Trifling.
We're
I think that's what I want. But I just want,
call
room clear for
101.
Blaine. That's all I really want. But going back to what you were saying about it ending kind of on the same note the past 2 ones and her going back to him, part of me wonders if that's a way of like them showing her humanity still within her being a zombie and her still actually having leftover feeling from her prior life, or that she is still the same person she was before and it is deep down inside her, and maybe that's something she needs to work out or figure out inside of herself. And
100%. Yeah, because I mean, it's only been 6 months, I think they said, since this even happened. So, I mean, I'm sure she has to figure out everything still. And she really is still struggling with hope. I mean, even with the pilot episode, we saw where she was trying to get in the mindset of being this way forever. But then as soon as she was introduced with the idea of potentially having a cure, she was like, oh, it's like hope got restored. So, it's like definitely showing in the second episode that that's really prevalent, and I'm sure there's like more of those scenarios to come.
Right, and with her getting that hope and her finding out that it may be a cure, there may be a cure, she keeps referring to herself as being dead. But I think with us finding out that there may be a cure and us seeing these signs of her humanity, I think it's actually her not accepting that there is still a part of her living. I think she's just choosing to kind of be down on herself and be like, I am dead, I am a zombie, this is my life, this is my fate, this kind of sucks.
Well, she's adjusted pretty well. I mean, she's kept her job
very well.
She's excelling at her job. So I mean, she could have just chose, kind of like Blaine, like I'm just gonna be an outlaw and sell brains and kill people and just do what a zombie does. But she hasn't even, what we know so far, she hasn't even killed anybody yet.
No.
She's just taking their brains after they're dead. So I think she has plenty of humanity left.
Yeah.
But there's gonna be times where it tempts her to do some killing.
I
Absolutely.
think she kind of has to find her balance with it and merging the two, because you kind of see her flip it on and off like a light switch. So it's kind of like, okay, it's full like zombie mode, and then it's kind of like, oh, I really do care. And I think too with Major, she's kind of playing with his emotions, and now I think he's just kind of done with it. It's kind of like, you can't keep tagging me along. You know, how much of it am I going to take? Because I wouldn't be able to take it. I would have been throwing the towel. Like, you can have that lifestyle. This is me. But I think she has to find that balance. And right now, it's just flipping it on, flipping it off.
Right.
Just
and
tell
everybody
Major.
can't get with it.
Right.
I'm sure he'll understand.
Absolutely.
What's he gonna do? Go
My
to
fiance
police?
is a zombie.
What's he gonna
Okay,
do?
and like just saying, he sent her to this party and this
his
happened.
fault.
I would be like, this is your fault,
Take some
Major.
responsibility. You're right.
How dare you?
Take
I'm a
some
zombie
ownership.
because of you. And instead she's like shielding him from it and protecting him, and
Enough
he
of
shouldn't
Major.
know. And it's like,
Right, and you
come on
almost
now.
would think that since he did like influence her to go on this boat and she came back the way that she did, that he would be constantly asking her questions like, what happened that night? What happened that night? What
Right.
changed?
Or the fact that they were engaged, and you would think that they would be close enough for her to be able to confide in him about what
Yeah.
happened. And for some reason, that hasn't happened either.
There should be more
So-
butting heads for sure. Like they're just too nice to each other right now. They should really be just pissed off at each other more.
Yeah.
She should be mad at him, and he should. There should be a lot more of that.
And like
But they're too
confusion
nice.
and
They're
questions.
buddies. Yeah, they're all buddy now.
Right.
Okay, well, I think we're all starting to get into I think this should.
Yeah.
So
Here we go,
let's,
trying to play
True.
matchmaker.
so let's go ahead and get into predictions then. Yeah.
Now,
There goes
your
the
AfterBuzz TV predictions.
Gets me all jived.
We have like so many.
Yeah.
I feel like,
You go ahead.
oh goodness. Let's see. You know, I really feel like the whole Blaine thing. He's really like on my radar right now. I'm super excited with this episode. Yeah, I'm really excited to see where this is going. I want to see more of his business infrastructure that he's setting up with all this brains deal, because I gotta say that when he first brought the lady home, I really thought he was just gonna eat her brains. That was what I had in my mind, and then I was
too.
like, oh no, he's got a much larger plan. So I think that will play into this a lot. And I'm on your path now with Liv and him, kind of like something is happening between the two. I do think so. So maybe next episode. Who
Yeah.
knows?
I'm gonna focus on Blaine as well, but I think they're gonna butt heads, him and Liv, for a while now, but they're gonna have to work together because he's the only zombie that she knows, so they're gonna have to work together on some things. But I think in the future he's going to maybe threaten her friends or family members, to gain the upper hand. You work in a morgue, I'm selling brains, you give me what I want, and I won't hurt the people that you love.
Or
And I
tell the people that you love.
Yeah, so I think he's going to start kind of running the show a bit. It's going to become the Blaine show. But I want a
see
whole
it.
episode around
Yeah,
I
his
see
business.
it.
But the same thing with his business. I want to see just almost an entire show. No case, just a Blaine show.
I agree with that, but I'll get fine. You go ahead.
Yeah, like I called it, Blaine is going to be this big zombie mobster. I already know. And he is going to be her Liv's saving grace at one point. He's going to be, I guess they're going to be, like I said, put up against each other, but he's going to be the one who ends up saving her at some point. And then Robbie, I just want to hope I can learn more of his backstory, but
Yeah.
I think what's going to happen is he's going to get Liv's hopes up, like, oh, I think I found the cure, and then it's just going to fall through, like, oh, we didn't find the cure. So I see that happening too, and then it's going to be like, oh, I was that close to, being who I was again, and it's kind of like, this is really who I am. This is how I'm stuck. So
Right.
That's
I
good.
see that.
That's good.
Yeah.
It'd be cool if she turned
Yeah.
back for like 5 seconds, like, oh, I'm back, and then it goes back
I'm
to
telling you, he's going to get her
Could you
hopes up.
imagine?
Such a bummer.
He's going to get her hopes up.
That's gonna
and
happen.
Bam.
That's a good point.
I
Still a
love
zombie.
Robbie though so much. I love him. I think he's so cute. He's so great. I do. I think he's adorable. Anyways, but I'm hoping that in the next episode, which sorry guys, we did not get to see the previews for next week, so we are just giving predictions completely blind. So really let us know what's going on. But I'm hoping that maybe the next episode, I agree that I love the cases. I absolutely love them. But I kind of want an episode that focuses more on them and maybe the 6 months leading up to where we are now, how they dealt with becoming zombies, how they've already maintained or grasped onto as much control as they have already gained so quickly by turning it off and turning it on. I don't think yet that they'll start developing, the whole Blaine, Liv, love thing, but I think it's going to happen. I think within the next couple episodes, we'll start getting that
something.
We'll start getting that hint of sexual tension between them, is what I'm hoping. But aside from that, I'm more so hoping that we're going to see more of their backstory and maybe a little bit more major. I think the next episode may deal more with
him.
Major. I do.
Let's do a more Allie Machalko or whatever.
Yeah.
Let's go here.
Peyton.
Let's go more Peyton.
There we go.
know where your heart lies.
There we go.
Well, come on.
They're
Introducing like 8 dudes every week.
You're right.
And
You're right.
it needs to be more Peyton. Just
We need
one,
to
just
focus
one.
on her working that brown hair. We love it.
Pink workout attire. Just got back from the gym, or she's not sweating. What's she doing?
Just being perfect.
She's perfect.
I have no idea, but we will just have to find out next week.
She's adorable.
I think that's about it for us, you guys. Please let us know if we missed anything. There was so much going on tonight. Write us, tweet at us, comment on the YouTube videos. Let us know if we missed anything, what you guys liked, what you didn't like. Real quick, everybody, where can they find you all?
At Aja Seldon.
I'm Jared Gilkerson. That's at Gilkerson Radio on Twitter.
And I'm Blake V. You can find me on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram at Blake V Media.
And I'm Hannah Prichard, you all, and you can find me on Twitter and Instagram at the Hotshot Dude. Thank you guys so much.
From executive producers Maria Menounos, Kevin Undergaro, Phil Svitek, and the entire AfterBuzz TV staff, we would like to thank you for listening to the AfterBuzz TV network. To watch or listen to other after shows and post comments or questions, be sure to visit AfterBuzzTV.com. I'm Sir Richard Wentworth, and this has been a presentation of AfterBuzz TV.
Buzz you later.
The views expressed herein are those of the hosts only and do not necessarily reflect the views of AfterBuzz TV or its owners or principals.